Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest can be seen on the new hit reality show, Ladies Who List Atlanta, on the OWN network. She joins us tonight to tell us everything. Please help me welcome Cristyl Kimbrough. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi, guys. You know, it's funny because a lot of people do call me Kim for some reason, but it is Cristyl.
Right, Cristyl. Exactly. Well, listen, before we get into the show, just tell us a little bit about your background. I know I've seen you've done some great things prior to the show. So tell us a little bit about, where you come from.
Yeah. So prior to the show, I have always been an entrepreneur for one, even when I was a little girl. I hail from Stone Mountain, Georgia, East Side.
Okay.
But I was born in Seattle, Washington.
Oh,
little different.
Yeah.
So very much so. And I've lived in San Francisco, Louisiana, but Atlanta is where I call home. Atlanta is where I can give you directions.
Right.
And so I'm an advocate of HBCU. So I'm a double HBCU graduate.
Yeah.
I went to Albany State in Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
And I went to Southern Law in Louisiana, which is why I was there for 3 years.
Right.
And let me pause there because shout out to Louisiana. I could really live in New Orleans. Have you been?
I love New Orleans. I don't know if I can live there though, because I feel like I'd be drunk every night.
What was that? Those hand grenades, you would most definitely be drunk every night.
Yes.
But more than that, I just can't get into boarding up my windows every hurricane season.
I know, right?
But if I can get around that, I can maybe do Louisiana.
Yeah. No, I have some friends out there, and so I've been able to stay in hotels there as well as stay in residence there. It's a different vibe, different experience, but definitely a lot of culture there. So yeah,
whole lot of culture. And that's the one thing that I love about Louisiana, because as you know, our Black culture was raped from us.
Absolutely.
So to be able to see their culture that's deep rooted and they have these traditions, like, yes, Louisiana, all love. But
so you love those 3 years out there?
I did the 3 years out there. Yeah, for while I was in law school, and I did a summer associate position and lived in New Orleans, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
But Atlanta, honestly, is the best of both worlds. So I'm always gonna rep Atlanta forever.
Absolutely.
Even when I move out of the country.
Right. I love Atlanta. So how did you get into real estate?
That's a good question. I don't have like a sexy story on how I got into real estate.
Yeah.
I was working in-house at the Coca-Cola company.
Okay.
And I was in the IP department, which is intellectual property.
Okay.
Because I knew I wanted to do either trademark law or real estate.
Right.
And so I do a really good job of making relationships, because that's what's key when you're an entrepreneur is relationships.
Yep.
So I leveraged my relationships to nail a job at a real estate law firm.
Okay.
Doing things, exactly what I'm doing now.
Okay.
And so then after like a year of working for that firm, I just kind of looked around and arrogantly said, I can do this.
Yep.
So I did it.
Yeah, so you started your own firm, Kimbrough Law, a boutique law firm, and obviously there's so many people that want to be an entrepreneur, right? But everyone is not built to be one. So what were your first steps, and what did you have any apprehension when you left that firm that you're working at to start your own, or did you know this is exactly what I need to be doing?
The beautiful thing about when I branched out to start Kimbrough Law is that I was a little ignorant.
Okay.
But
that can be a bliss sometimes.
Listen, as an entrepreneur, I always say it takes a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of ignorance to go for it. Because if you're aware and hyper aware of all of the hurdles that will come, you probably won't start.
Right. That fear.
It takes an insane person to do what I did. So I don't regret it.
Absolutely. Well, congrats. Anyone, listen, I've interviewed a lot of people on this show. Anyone that can be is a successful entrepreneur, hats off, because it's not an easy task. It's not.
Yeah. The most difficult part about entrepreneurship is managing the staff.
Right.
You think it's the clients, but it's the staff. Yes.
And your sister works for you, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cecily. So, you know, and it's not easy working with family.
Right. Exactly.
So, you know, but you'll see on the show, I had this amazing client appreciation experience.
Yeah. And
she spearheaded coordinating that. And so, you know, hats off to her. She's a natural creative. Yeah. And so, you know, I adore my older sister.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, let's get into Ladies Who List Atlanta. Okay. So how did you become part of this cast?
That's a good question. I say that every Friday night that it airs.
Right.
I become, no, actually, so the creator of the show, this brilliant Black woman named Monique Barrett.
Okay.
She approached me and Kiana from the show first. And then from there, she got recommendations for the other castmates. Okay. Some I regret, but we're here now.
Right.
No, but I mean, so the original concept for the show, and still is, like, look, we've done a whole lot of real estate shows. You see them all.
That's what I was saying. We see them now all the time. Tampa, we're selling Sunset. Yeah.
But the interesting dynamic between this show is that you have two brokers. And so do we have time to break it down real quick?
Please do, because I don't understand the difference.
So two brokers. When you're a broker, that means that you've been a real estate agent for at least 5 years, and you've taken additional classes and courses and became licensed to be a broker. So you open up your own brokerage, and now you can have agents under you. It's kind of like having your own real estate business. Right. Okay? But then you have the two real estate agents. They don't have their license to be a broker. They're under a brokerage. But then the totally new aspect is two closing attorneys. Right. And a lot of people don't know that we exist because we're in the background doing our due diligence, and you don't even know we exist for the most part. Yeah. But we're here. And depending on the state that you live in, a title company either closes your transactions and does their due diligence, or the closing firm. So, and it's about split between the states. Half of our title states, half our attorney states. And what we have to make sure, Stephen, is that this present owner who owns the property hasn't done something to the boundary lines to affect where your boundary lines begin and end. Yeah. That's the closing attorney. We need to make sure that you've paid your income taxes and the IRS hasn't filed a lien against you, because if they have, that affects the property and the subsequent buyer. That's the closing attorney. Yeah. And then you come to our office after we complete our due diligence, which is like a 30-day process, depending on the circumstance. And then we tell a few jokes and we sign all the paperwork and we make it experience.
Okay. Yeah. So you, as a closing attorney, that's the process that you manage that. And so all three, the broker, the agent, and the attorney, they all make it all work, correct?
Yes. Okay. Now the broker doesn't so much. So sometimes a broker can also still sell, but sometimes you'll just have managing brokers that they don't even sell anymore. They just manage their agents. Kiana on the show, she's kind of transitioning away from selling and more into the managerial role as a broker. Okay. And then Robin, who's also a broker on the show, she doesn't, I think she just sells. Okay.
So when you were presented with the show, the idea for the show, and obviously you've seen reality shows, I'm sure, were you apprehensive about joining the show, or were you like, oh, this is a great idea, let's do it? I mean, what were your initial thoughts?
Okay, so what a lot of people don't know is that they approached us 3 years ago.
3 years ago, okay.
3.
Yeah.
And for the last 3 years, I was doing this, hoping that it wouldn't actually get green.
Really?
Yeah. I was literally like, okay, I think, okay, another year has passed. Okay,
Right.
another year has passed. Because I always say, I like to be fabulous in private.
Okay.
I don't necessarily need to promote my lifestyle.
Mm.
But because I have a business, I couldn't say no.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What small business owner would? Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
So,
Recognition.
it was supposed to be like, 80% work, 20% personal lifestyle, but we'll see how this pans out because we're only on episode 4 coming this Friday. Exactly. So we'll see.
So coming in the show, you and Robin, I know you call her best friend on the show, but you're very close friends, correct? Coming into the show. And you had known her for a while. And so, okay, let's go to last week's episode.
Wait, the fact that you're smiling already.
No, and listen, because I want to get your perspective. So last week's episode, you can tell me watching the show. So last week's episode, and it's a continuation from the week before. And that's when Robin brings all the ladies together to promote this idea of everyone working together to kind of take over the Atlanta market. Correct?
Correct.
And so initially it's, some people came in kind of like, oh no, they had some kind of dealings with Robin, or they feel kind of way about about her, not necessarily the situation, but they're still open to it. And then things get heated between several women and Robin. And so you, as Robin's friend, you know her the best out of everyone. You're trying to de-escalate the situation by kind of calming Robin down, because she is kind of a firecracker, and she's explained her history, her past, and everything, which kind of, I guess, is why she is the way she is. She took that, and several other ladies took it as you not really de-escalating, but kind of heighten it. When you watch it back, because I'm sure always intention is with your intention, you had great intentions and what you were trying to do. When you watch it back, do you still feel like that you handled that the best way, or do you feel like, oh, maybe I could have done differently? What were your thoughts watching it back?
Steven, when I watched the edited version back.
We only saw it edited. That's the thing. We only saw the edited version. Yeah.
When I watched the edited version back, I looked like a bitch. I looked like I wasn't a friend to Robin. I looked like everything that I'm not.
Okay.
But, that's TV. So I take it on the chin and I accept it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that was a 2.5 hour dinner.
Right. Yeah.
2.5 hour dinner condensed to maybe 5 minutes.
Right.
And that was the 3rd time that Robin had lashed out on me.
Yeah.
The 3rd time filming that she had lashed out.
We saw episode, when you all went for that walk. Walk. Yeah.
She lashed out on me in my office and got loud with me in my office.
Yep.
And then she lashed out on me when we were in the park. And it's like, I need a break from Robin.
Yeah.
Like,
prior to the filming, was that the dynamics of your relationship, or was it, you think the cameras kind of,
as soon as those cameras turned on, I don't even know what to call her. I don't even want to call her Robin. We're going to have to come up with another name for her when the cameras come on, because she's not Robin when the cameras come on. I've known Robin for six or so years now. Have never seen her act that erratic before. Like, she's always kind of been quick to respond in a bad way, but she's never been that erratic. So it really did kind of took me by surprise.
It looked like surprise when you saw, even prior to the dinner, certain ways she was responding. You looked a little like,
I was literally, and so I don't know if you picked up on me like giggling, but I was like,
because she felt some kind of way. Yeah.
So the back history behind that is apparently, and I didn't know this then, but apparently her mother used to giggle at her.
Oh.
And I don't want to speak for her, but her mother used to giggle with her. So now she has a thing with people giggling when she's talking. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Right, exactly.
And even if I did know that, should I be held responsible for that?
Exactly.
I don't think
I saw this meme the other day. I saw this meme the other day, and I thought about this. Is that we're not responsible for the programming we receive in childhood, but as an adult, we're 100% responsible for fixing it. And I know I'm not trying to get you to speak nasty about Robin, but do you feel like that's something that she needs to work on, is deprogramming the traumatic childhood that she had?
Yeah, for sure. Like I know it's kind of been made fun of and kind of been lighthearted, you know, me talking about triggering but that really comes from me being in therapy.
Yeah.
And so really, of course, I am not a licensed therapist, but when you start to do the work, you start to recognize the patterns.
Yeah.
And when you start recognize the patterns, you can start doing something and controlling your emotions a little more.
And how you respond.
So in that moment, I really did say triggered a lot. I really did, but it's because I really couldn't think of anything else to say. And I was hoping that it would encourage her to calm down, but it did the opposite. So listen, I did the best I could. It wasn't good enough, but it's also not my responsibility.
Exactly. Do you feel that the cameras heightened the responses, not just from Robin, but from the other ladies? Because it's one thing, and I've interviewed a lot of people that have been on reality TV, and they get to the point where you forget the cameras are there. But initially, it's kind of like, oh, I'm on camera, I got to mix. And I remember I interviewed this one gentleman on this show. It had one season, but I used to see him in the gym all the time. And he told me that he tried to kind of put on for the camera, and the way it kind of backfired on him through the editing, that he was being called things that didn't really represent him, but it was because it was kind of his own doing, because he was trying to do the most when really that's not really who he is. Do you feel like that happens a lot, just based on your experience so far?
So, okay, the reality of it is the show portrays me as a bitch, okay? And I am a little bit of a bitch. And what I really equate that to is a boss. Women get the connotation of the word bitch.
Yeah.
But I am a little bit firm, which is a boss. I am a little bit aggressive, which is a boss.
Yeah.
And because of my gender, the word that gets associated with all of those characteristics is a bitch, as opposed to a boss.
Yeah.
And so I own the fact that I am a boss, and it does spill over into my personal life. But the thing about when the cameras turn on is they don't ever get the full picture of who you are. Exactly. I'm a boss, but I'm also very thoughtful. I'm also sensitive. I'm also all these other things that just don't get shown. And I knew it would run a risk of, that occurring. And that's where you just have to be smart about how you play it. You don't know how. Listen, I watch the episodes when y'all watch the episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how they're going to spin and manipulate, different things. And I can give you a little teaser for this week's episode that's going to drop based on what I think is going to air.
Okay.
But yeah, like, you don't know what these people are going to do and how they're going to portray you. And I'm completely fine with being a little bit of a bitch, because what it really is me being a little bit of a boss. You have to be sharp to be an entrepreneur.
And I think people don't realize that. Yeah, you do. And we hear it all the time when men do it. It's like, oh, he's in charge, he's that dude. And a woman, she's a bitch. I don't think you come off as a bitch. I watching it back, I was watching with a friend of mine, and I think it was kind of funny, the trigger, you're triggered. But like you said, and I know this, even being on set, watching reality shows, how, yes, it's real situations, but some of it can be manipulated. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that in person. Like, I won't say what show, the big show here in Atlanta. I've seen it happen, but watching it back for yourself, again, you're watching it when we see it. Is there anything you say, oh, she didn't say that? Or do you think
everything? First of all, that dinner scene, I wish I would have minded my business, because I needed to put Robin on the back burner at that point anyways, because she had already lashed out on me twice. So what I really should have just did is not coordinate the dinner. If you want to coordinate this powerhouse, you do it. And I should have just minded my business and let her do her own thing. Because it looked like she was being ganged up on, but what you didn't see is everything that Robin said prior to that.
Well, the teaser for the upcoming episode is, at some point, you're not the victim, it's you. One of the ladies said it about Robin.
It was Tiana that said that, and that
Tiana, yeah.
lies in that statement.
Yeah, right. One thing I do love that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was gonna bring up like something that I kind of had to realize that's kind of been a pattern too, because I suspect in episode 4 there's gonna be something else that Cristyl did wrong, and now I'm starting to like kind of look around, like I'm starting to see a theme here with how the producers are editing this, the occurrence. And is it a coincidence that when given the opportunity to villainize this black girl versus this black girl, why are they always choosing to villainize me?
Yeah.
Do you really think there were not other opportunities to villainize someone else? Of course there were.
Yeah.
Why are they choosing to always villainize me? And, I've had the fortunate upbringing of being around people who are open-minded, love themselves, confident. So I haven't really had to deal with colorism.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that.
Now I'm starting to see it.
Okay. No, it's interesting because when the reality shows I've seen or people I've interviewed, they do have to pick a villain, the person you feel sorry for, the person they have to pick that for that season. And it will change in different seasons. They'll change this person's the villain.
It's not looking like it's gonna change. Right. It's not. Based on the preview that I saw for episode 4, it's not looking like it's gonna change.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did love that you did on the show, they showed you in therapy. And it was a short, I have a therapist. My sessions last an hour. I don't know how long yours do, but they showed a few minutes of your therapy with your therapist and describing your relationship. And your therapist said that if it continues, that at some point you might have to walk away from this friendship. Let me ask you, where are you and Robin today? I know there's a lot we have to see and you can't give too much away, but where are you all today as we're watching the show back and in that kind of situation?
That's the thing about reality television. And you said you have some experience with it. You can get past certain issues that happen in real time, but then when you have to see it play back, those feelings kind of emerge again. Yeah. And it's almost as if you really didn't deal with it. It's almost as if you just buried it away and you swept it under the rug. Yeah. But now they're able to reemerge because you didn't deal with it in the first place. Yeah. So some of it for me is, I'm not over certain things because I didn't properly deal with it the first time. But other things, my hands are up and I'm done. Yeah. And I'm starting to get there with all of it.
Yeah, you think about like a normal situation, you don't get to watch it back. This edited or not, you don't get to watch it back, and you don't get to see what they say in their confessionals about you.
Let's not even talk about the confessionals and the green screen because we're gonna be here another 2 hours. Right. I just love how people are so bold in green screen and then completely contradict themselves on camera to your face. Yeah.
Do you think that though, because we get the characters on some of these reality shows, this portion's boring, they don't have a storyline. Do you feel like that some of it, because I've heard people say that we do throw shade at each other because it has to be exciting. Where is that boundary between funny for the camera and we're friends? You're going too hard.
Okay, so for me, that boundary is lies in your intentions and what it is you're discussing. Yeah. So allow me to give an example, and of course I'm a little biased, but Tiana contradicted herself on camera. Okay. She said one thing in green screen and something completely different to my face on camera. And you'll see it play out on the episode, so I won't go into any more detail, but what she lied about wasn't cool. It wasn't lighthearted. Right. It wasn't lighthearted. Okay. So that to me should have been more, you should have had more integrity than that. Don't do it for the cameras, because now your integrity is at question.
Yeah.
Versus you may or may not see me on green screen mocking all of my castmates. Like I'm literally like talking like them and imitating them.
Right. It's more playful.
That to me is playful. Somebody may find it annoying because maybe it's true, but it was still playful. You know, I'm just imitating you and I'm imitating everyone.
Right.
So that to me is like, okay, let me get some entertainment, you know, for the cameras.
Exactly.
And, you know, some of them have really distinct voices, so it's just really easy to imitate them. So, you know, that to me,
no, it's playful. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Well, one thing I do love about this show, I love the fact it shows some powerful Black women, bosses, you know, holding it down, doing their thing. It shows the beautiful city of Atlanta, you know, and all of its greatness. And I love that. I love that aspect of it because, you know, I did watch one of the first ones I saw was Selling Sunset with the predominantly white ladies in California. And then I saw Tampa, but to see Black women doing that and selling these $1 million homes and dealing with these clients, you know, that's just it's inspiring, and it shows that what you can accomplish. And so hats off to you and the rest of the cast for that, for showing that. Yeah, and what does it mean for you because of all the work you've done, being able to see that back?
So I do just have to say, all of the women on the cast have legitimate business.
Right. Yeah.
And all of the offices that you see, there are actual offices. You know, I've been, my office is on Peachtree Street, and I've been there for like 8 years now. And so I am very proud of every single one of them simply because they've beaten the odds. You know, you're the outlier, you're the exception. And to that, you can't take any credit away.
Exactly.
And for me, just as a business owner of a closing law firm, it means a lot to me when I'm sitting at the head of the closing table and I see the seller is Black, the buyer is Black, the agents are usually Black, and the lender. And the purchase price of this property is $3 million.
Right.
And this is not the exception. I've seen this at least once a month. It's the exact same scenario. And that's the beautiful thing about Atlanta. It really is the Black Mecca.
It is. And
for us that live here, it's a gift and a curse because you start to take it for granted.
You do.
You're so used to seeing Black people flourish that it's not even a big deal anymore until I go back to Seattle.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
what happened?
Why are they 20 years behind? Like what? You know, and nothing against Seattle, because I'm originally from, but it's the reality of it is the Black people here in Atlanta are very progressive.
Absolutely.
And it's encouraging, it's inspiring, and it lets you know that it's doable and it's important for the kids.
That's what's important.
Because now it's in their realm of possibility. And that's why I really am careful about who I choose in my circle. You know, you'll hear a lot about, you know, you are who your close 5 friends are. But I also want to remind people that you can benefit from people who are beneath where you're at professionally, at your same level and above you.
Absolutely.
You can learn from every single one of them. So I always encourage you have at least one friend in every type of bracket. And then, get comfortable being around those super bosses because they are going to elevate your thinking, which is going to elevate your actions.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that one. So what do you hope, and obviously you can't control the editing, you can't control other people, how they respond, but what do you hope people get from watching you on this show throughout the rest of the season?
That is a very good question. Ultimately, Stephen, I do feel some sort of responsibility for representing Black women in a sophisticated, composed way. having a range of emotions is a part of being a human,
right?
But not allowing someone to have that kind of power over you is even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope to represent the women who do have a certain level of sophistication and are okay with kind of going against the grain, because I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I grew up middle class, and I grew up with love, and I grew up with, you know, a stepdad, a mom, and a dad. And I just hope, and so at one point I felt like I didn't really have a story because I didn't come from rags to riches.
I understand that 100%. Yeah. Yep.
So, but as I became more mature and as I became more open-minded, that story is a story too.
It absolutely is.
And if we're lucky, my story is going to become more of the norm. Which means it'll be more accepted by our culture, which means hopefully it'll encourage young people to not be something that they don't have to be, like in the street.
Right. People that aren't from the streets trying to be from the streets. Yeah.
Have you seen that before? I see that so
all
much.
The time.
Kids,
I used to wish that. I used to wish I was from the streets. I used to wish I'm middle class, grew up, I used to wish I was. That's why I can't relate. But no, like you said, there are people that grew up, I guess, like we did, and their story is just as relevant, as important as someone who was able to bring themselves up from the gutter. You know what I mean, for lack of better words. Yeah, I agree with that.
And I also hope to keep the single women encouraged, because I am single, and there's also sometimes a difficulty in owning a business and being single. Because, and I'm sure it works both ways. Yeah. But, you know, maybe somebody's not comfortable, or maybe they feel like they can't relate to me simply because I don't have kids, or maybe they think that I'm less of a woman because I'm not married. So I just also, in addition to maintaining your composure, I hope to represent that I am a complete person despite not being married or having kids. Like you are enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are enough. You can also desire these things for yourself at the same time, but still maintain your sense of completeness.
Exactly. Let me ask you, it's a whole different show, but because you brought it up, do you find it can be challenging being a boss and dating someone who may not have what you have or that level of success and feel intimidated?
So I just want to say I had a whole story that I allowed the production to follow that will not be aired. And it's related to more of my personal life and dating. So to answer your question, I think however you approach something will be your reality. So if you approach dating like it's difficult, it's going to be difficult. And you know how they say, oh, there's no men in Atlanta or blah, 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 blah. Right. Well, that's not my reality. It really isn't. Exactly. I don't have any problems going on dates and getting to know men. And I think that's my reality, not because of anything else other than that I don't choose to accept that it's difficult dating. Now, I will admit that I have found that maybe I have to temper some of my desire to be like, how do I explain it without offending people? You get what I'm going?
I get exactly what you mean.
I don't, you know, I have to temper some of the independence.
Right, because you're so used to doing it your way, having your own. And so you have to, in a way, kind of play yourself down so that man can be the man.
Remember to ask for help.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably know this, and I'm not saying all men, but men love to feel needed.
Of course.
And so look at your smile.
Oh, sorry.
And so I have to remember to need them, like in a physical, like, can you help me with this? Can you pick up that? You know, because
when you can do it your own self, I got this. Yeah.
Okay, but Yeah, you want to stroke the ego a little bit, just like a man should stroke a woman's ego a little bit.
I agree. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I mean, I think we get to see a different side of you. I mean, I don't at all. I don't think you come off as a bitch on the show. I know you said that. But I do see where some people are kind of like, you know what I mean? But I'm glad that you're able to speak and tell your truth and tell your experience. And we're only seeing, like you said, 3 episodes this far. So tell everyone how they can keep up with everything you have going on social media. You have a great website. What's the best way?
So guys, I want you to definitely keep up with what I got going on. I got a lot of big, fun, exciting, inspiring announcements coming soon. Awesome. So on all social media platforms, you can find me at closingattorney_Chris, CRIS. And you can find Kimbrough Law at Kimbrough Law LLC. And you can also keep up with my personal website, CrystylKimbrough.com.
Listen, our thanks to Cristyl Kimbrough for joining us tonight. You can watch Ladies Who List Atlanta on the OWN network each Friday at 9 p.m. Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. And we will be right back. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye. So nice to meet you.